So on my screen, I see 52, around 52 participants in this virtual meeting. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Sir Noli Ingad for inviting me here in your review. This is my first time to be here, and hopefully magkaroon tayo ng isang memorable na learning experience. So my task for today is to help you remember your past lectures in one particular area, criminalistics. Okay, so we will be discussing here subjects or questions that were asked in the board examinations or possible to be asked during the upcoming board examinations on or by June 12th, I believe. So that is the date that I was informed about yesterday. So, yun. And para mas maging maigi, saglit lang . Okay, so para mas maging maigi yung ating or effective yung ating review or yung ating final o yung coaching natin, I will advise you to answer each of the question in every subject the moment na pina-flash natin on screen yung question. So, or binabasa natin yung questions as well as the choices. So, use that particular time to answer the given question. So, pag nasagot nyo na, what you call this, i-reveal naman or ibibigay naman yung correct answer. So, what's the use of that? Ang gamit nun is nakikita nyo kung ilan yung mga mistakes na commit nyo while answering a particular question, while answering questions in a particular subject. Halimbawa, we will start with forensic ballistics. So lahat ng mga questions doon sagutan nyo, and at the end tilangin nyo kung ilan ang nakuha nyong correct answers. Okay? And you decide to yourself, is it enough? Tama na ba yung nakuha kong sagot na no? Para mabigyan ako ng confidence to take the board exam, or insufficient pa rin para maipasa or tingin nyo para mag-top in the licensure examination. Okay? So, yung coaching, kasi ito in my point of view, hindi niya kayang gamutin yung mga pagkukulang nyo, or kung maraming man kayong pagkukulang sa mga pag-attend ng regular review sessions. Okay? So, wala pa ring tatalo dun sa pag-attend ng mahabang regular na review sessions. But yung final coaching is like a validation. So, parang binavalidate lang neto yung readiness nyo to take the licensure examination. So, at this point in the preparation for the board exam, kumbaga, nire-refine nyo na lang. Okay? You're just putting finishing touches doon sa overall preparation nyo in the licensure examination. Okay? So hopefully these two meetings that we will have will be helpful para maging magaan sa inyo yung subjects or area ng criminalistics. So yung criminalistics, binibigay yan the second day of the examination. Okay? So since you will be, or this is in preparation for the June examination, we will still be using the old table of specification. So yung luma pa rin. Okay? So ibig sabihin, you'll be the last batch, I believe, you'll be the last batch to take the CLE or the licensure examination using the old table of specification. Okay, so in short, itong PowerPoint presentation natin dito is patterned or designed for that table of specification. Okay, so again, this is 2 meetings. For this day, we will be discussing 3 subjects. Okay, one is forensic ballistics, another is forensic photography, and question documents. Okay, so the rest of the subjects under criminalistics will be on the next meeting. Okay, so for proper guidance, para hindi rin tayo alam din natin kung ano yung mangyayari bawat bawat minuto or bawat oras. Okay, so we will have our 15-minute break at 10:30. Okay, lunch break at 12, and then resume at 1 p.m. and another break at 3 p.m. for 15 minutes, and then we will end at around 5 in the afternoon. Okay, so I think I have discussed everything. So let's start. So the first set of questions will be coming from forensic ballistics. So let's have number 1 and number 2. So forensic ballistics is ultimately about identification of blank. Okay, and the choices are fired bullets, firearm, fired shells, or all are correct. Number 2, when only 2 fired bullets were submitted for examination, the purpose of the examination will be, so it is more on application, what needs to be done when only 2 fired bullets were submitted for examination. So letter A, to identify the firearms where they originated, to identify whether they were fired from 1 or more firearms, to identify whether there are 1 or more shooters, and all will serve as its purposes. So those are the choices. So at this point, I hope that you already read the question and already indicated your answers on your paper. Okay, so the answer here are letter B, firearms, and another letter B, to identify whether they were fired from 1 or more firearms. So number 1, that is a very simple yet easy na what do you call this? Misread or misanalyze ng mga examiners or examining rather. So forensic ballistic is ultimately about identification of firearms. Okay? So ang ina-identify sa forensic ballistic is yung barrel na ginamit sa isang crime. Okay? What about the fired bullet and fired shells? Those are the means. Yon ang pamamaraan or kinukuhanan ng information in order to identify the firearm. Okay? But ultimately, lahat ng examination of fired bullets and fired shells, ginagawa yan for one purpose, for a single purpose. And that is kilalanin yung barrel or to identify the firearm. Okay? So, do not be confused kasi iba yung forensic ballistics at saka ballistics. Okay? So, yung iba kasi kapag nabasa yung familiar familiar na mga question, familiar na mga choices, you quickly jump on the answer, okay, without reading or without comprehending. So yung ballistics simply means motion of projectiles, okay? Kapag wala sa question ang wordings na firearm identification, that cannot be forensic ballistics. Again, that cannot be forensic ballistics if yung wordings na firearm identification is absent on the question. Okay? So, yun ang pinaka important wordings para ma-identify that the term to define is forensic ballistics. Number 2. So, ang pinasa daw for examination na specimens are 2 fired bullets. Nothing else, nothing more. Okay? So, by comparison or by undergoing microscopic examination, we can compare them, okay, using comparison microscope and found and identify whether they have the same striation patterns, whether they have the same individual characteristics. So that will suggest they came from a single source, a single firearm. So if they have different striation patterns under comparison microscope, that will suggest that they came from different firearms or 2 different firearms. Okay? So yon ang pwedeng i-conduct na examination if the only submitted specimens were 2 fired bullets. Okay? Next. Number 3. Striation patterns in the gun's barrel are the object of final determination of firearms identity. These characteristics can be viewed only after the firearm is what? Okay? Subjected through microscopic examination, subjected to test firing, compared to another firearm, or subjected to caliber and rifling determination. Okay. So, if you will try to analyze the question, ang pinaka magbibigay daw ng identity sa firearm is yung striation pattern that can be found inside the barrel. Okay? Now, to get that pattern, to see that pattern, what should be done? Ano bang dapat gawin sa firearm? Kasi nasa loob yun eh, di ba? So, ano ang dapat gawin sa firearm? That is what the question is asking. So, the answer here, I hope that you already write down your answer. The answer here is letter D. You subject the firearm to test firing. Okay? So, take note class, maraming beses man natin laging nababasa na nagkakaroon ng comparison examination using microscope. Okay? Pero, hindi nilalagay sa ilalim ng comparison microscope yung barrel of the gun or the firearm itself. Okay? So ang sistema, for you to see the individual characteristics of the barrel of the gun, you need to conduct test firing. So yung makukuha mong test bullet or marirecover mong test bullet, doon doon na i-impart yung markings na nasa loob ng barrel of the gun. Okay? So, and that is where you will what? That is where you will, that is how you will examine the bullet. Okay? So, take note, the answer for number 3 is letter B. Okay? So, it is subjected to test firing. Next. Number 4. So, number 4 is another question that requires you to take analysis. After thorough examinations and tests, the examiner found that the fired bullet recovered from the shooting scene and the suspected firearm are with the same caliber, the same number of rifling, and the same direction of twist. Can it be declared that the suspected firearm was the one used to discharge the recovered fire bullet? Okay. So, i-analyze natin yung question. Ang sabi sa question, ang na-recovered na fire bullet daw at saka suspected firearm ay pareho. Pareho ng caliber, pareho ng number of rifling, pareho rin ng direction of twist ng rifling. Okay? So, question. Yung bang mga pagkakapareho na yon suggest that they were fired from the suspected firearm? Okay? So, the choices are yes, on the basis of the principle of multiplicity of evidence. Yes, since the bases are considered individual characteristics. No, it should also include the bullets and firearms model and design. Or no, since the bases are not considered as individual characteristics. Okay? So, having read the question, explain. So, I hope that you also entered your answer in your paper. So the answer here is letter delta or letter D. Okay? No, hindi natin pwedeng ma-consider that although pareho sila ng caliber, pareho sila ng rifling, pareho sila ng direction of twist ng rifling, okay? Hindi natin mako-consider that the bullet was already fired from the suspected firearm. Why? Because caliber, number of riflings, and the twist of rifling are all class characteristics. Okay? So, meaning to say, kung class characteristics sila, hindi siya pwedeng maging solid basis for concluding the identity of the firearm. Okay? Why? Because ang pinakabasihan ng identity of the firearm is individual characteristics. Okay? So ano yung individual characteristics? Marami yan. Sa bullet, these are the striation patterns. Okay? Sa shells, ito yung mga firing pin impression, breech face marking. So what else? Ejector marking, extractor marking. So all of these are individual characteristics. So yung mga na-mention na characteristics dyan are class characteristics. Meaning, yung mga characteristics na yan are present into groups of firearms. Okay? So, the answer for number 4 is letter D. Next. Number 5. Another question that requires your analysis. Okay? Notorious. Notorious is a hardened criminal. After shooting his victim, in order to hide evidence, he immediately disassembled the gun and thrown away the barrel. He then replaced it with a new barrel coming from a different gun with the same model from what he used in the shooting. The follow-up investigation leads to his arrest and confiscation of his firearm. Is it still possible for his modified gun to identify when compared to the recovered fired bullet and fired shells? Okay, so again, let us analyze the question or what is being asked. Okay, so sabi, si Notorious daw ay pumatay gamit ang isang barel and siguro merong konting knowledge itong si Notorious. Dinisassemble niya yung firearm, in particular the barrel, and he disposed it. So, tinapon niya. So, pinalitan niya yon ng another barrel coming from the same model of the gun he used in the shooting. So it was confiscated and subjected to ballistic examination. Ang tanong, since na pinalitan na yung barrel of the gun, okay, magbibigay pa rin ba yon ng identification sa mga na-recovered na fired bullet and fired shell? Okay? So, here now are the choices. Yes, since the recovered fired bullet still has the characteristic with the modified barrel. Letter D, yes, since the recovered shell still has the characteristic of the firearm. Letter C, no, since the recovered fired shell has different characteristics with the modified barrel. And letter D, no, since the recovered shell has different characteristics, okay, with that of the firearm. So I hope that you understand the question or understood the question and already have chosen your answer. Okay? So, ano kayang sagot? The answer here is letter B. Yes, it can still be identified, since the recovered shell still has the characteristic of the firearm. Okay? So take note, since na pinalitan niya sa question, accordingly, pinalitan niya yung barrel of the gun. So, mawawala na yung original na characteristics ng barrel na yun. Bago na. Okay? Pero what he forget is meron pang mga recovered shell. At yung shell na yon still possess the characteristics of the gun that he used. Okay? So remember, may dalawang paraan para mag-identify ng firearm. Through the shell and through the bullet or fired through the shell and bullet that were fired from the gun. Okay? So kung hindi kung hindi umubra sa isa, baka makitaan mo ng identity doon sa isa. Either the bullet or the shell. Okay? And take note, the bullet and the shell have different, distinct na mga characteristics. Okay? So, I don't know kung lahat kayo ay first taker, pero sa mga hindi pa nakakakita ng actual na board examinations, the questions are composed of things that requires you to analyze. Okay? There are things na requires you to understand or just simply to remember. Okay? So, yon. Number 6. So, you need to anticipate and be ready for that. Number 6, which of the following is not, okay, a job for a firearm examiner? So, kung talaga naintindihan nyo ang trabaho ng isang firearm or ballistician, so alin dyan ang hindi trabaho ng isang ballistician? Among the choices. Letter A, determination of what firearm was used in the crime. Letter D, determination of whether or not a person fired a gun. Letter C, determination whether 2 or more guns were used in the crime or none. Okay? Number 7, the following can be examined to determine the caliber of the bullet that hits the victim, except, okay? So, alin dito alin sa mga choices ang hindi pwedeng gawing basihan ng measurement ng caliber na nag-inflict ng injury to the victim? Okay? So, the size of the entrance wound, the bullet collected from the victim's body, the firearm collected from the crime scene, or none. Okay, so I hope that you already have your answers for number 6 and number 7. And here are the correct ones. letter B, and letter A. Okay, so let's go back to the question. Which of the following is not a job for a firearm examiner? Yes, that is correct. Letter B, identifying a determination of whether or not a person fired a gun. Okay? So hindi trabaho 'yan ng ballistician class. Trabaho 'yan ng mga nasa chemistry kung saan nagkakandak sila ng mga paraffin test uh, to identify or to know whether a person fired a gun. Okay? As far as the ballistician job is concerned, hanggang doon lang siya sa pag-identify ng firearm. Okay? So, para malaman kung nagpaputok ba yung suspect ng firearm or sino yung pumutok or nagpaputok ng firearm, that is no longer the concern of the ballistician. Okay? That is the concern of the investigator on case or other forensic experts. Number 7. So the answer is the size of the entrance wound. So hindi natin pwedeng sukatin with accuracy ang caliber ng bullet by just measuring the hole created by the bullet on the skin. Okay? Why? Because ang skin natin is elastic. Okay? So nagko-compress siya and then hindi natin hindi natin pwedeng what you call this, hindi natin pwedeng maging basis yung hole na yon para i-measure yung actual caliber of the bullet. Okay? So, paano natin na-measure yung exact caliber ng bullet? Jadi, kapag na-recover yung bullet sa body ng victim, pwede yun. Or, pag na-recover yung what? Yung firearm that was used in the commission of the crime. Okay? So, yun ang mga exact na pamamaraan to measure caliber. Okay? Next. For number 8 and number 9, legally speaking, the paraffin test showing negative result for powder burns may be disregarded when made at least how many days after the shooting. Okay? So 1, letter A, letter B 3, letter C 2, letter D 5 days. Number 9. What is the stable flight of the bullet? The stable flight of the bullet is caused by its what? Or by blank. Okay? Is it caused by the direct motion, translational motion, rotary motion, or what we call terminal motion? Okay? So, I hope that you understood the questions, but nevertheless, let us try to explain it. So, in number 8, yung paraffin test result daw na negative, hindi na raw tinatanggap yon kung sinubmit mo how many days after the shooting. Okay, at least how many days after the shooting. And the stable flight of the bullet. Okay, so how the bullet becomes very stable during flight towards as it travels towards the target. Ano bang motion ang nagko-cause ng kanyang stability? Okay, so I hope that you have your answers now for number 8 and number 9. So the correct one are letter B, 3 days, and letter C, rotary motion. Okay, so 3 days. After 3 days, naturally, dahil sa activities ng mga hands natin, naturally, magdi-disappear na yung mga traces ng powder burns. Kaya kapag sinubmit mo yan, 3 days after the shooting incident at negative ang result, parang wala na ring visa yan. Parang wala na ring visa. Okay? So, going back to number 8 pala. Kaya kung gusto mong magpa-paraffin test or a suspect will be required to be subjected to paraffin test, make sure that it will be done immediately or as soon as possible. Okay? After the said shooting incident. Otherwise, the result will be useless. Okay? So the stable flight of the bullet is caused by letter C, rotary motor. Okay? So yung mabilis na spinning motion ng bullet o yung tinatawag nating gyroscopic action, yun ang nagbibigay ng stability during flight ng bullet. Okay, so ang konsepto dyan is very simple. The faster the bullet spin, the more the bullet travels, what you call this, firmly or with stability. Okay, next. So we have number 10 and number 11. Number 10. What is the branch of ballistics that deals with the impact and force imparted on the target? Okay, the branch of ballistics that deals with the impact and force imparted on the target. Is it interior, terminal, exterior, or forensic ballistic? Okay, so here, you need to be familiar sa mga branches ng ballistics, di ba? So, number 11, interior ballistics, technically speaking, begins with blank. Okay? During loading of the firearm, when the chamber is loaded, squeezing the trigger, when the bullet comes in contact with the rifles. Okay, so remember, you must know what interior ballistic is in order to answer number 11 correctly. So, ang interior ballistic, from the word interior, refers to the motion of the bullet when the bullet is still inside the firearm. Okay? So, yung interior ballistic, lahat ng pangyayari habang ang bullet ay gumagalaw sa loob ng firearm, yun ay covered ng interior ballistic. So, ang question is, technically, okay, kailan ba nag-uumpisa ang interior ballistics or ang paggalaw ng bullet inside the firearm? Okay, so I hope that with those explanation, you already entered your or write your answers. The answers are letter B, terminal ballistics. Okay, so yung terminal ballistic is the branch when the bullet comes in contact with the target or reach the target already. Okay, so terminal ballistic. And number 11, the answer is letter C, when you squeeze the trigger. Oh, definitely, diba? So, gagalaw lang ang bullet kapag inside the gun, the moment that you the moment that you press the trigger of the firearm. Okay? Kasi it will start everything. So, it will start what? What do you call this? The separation of bullet from the shell going down the barrel. Okay? Next. Number 12. Number 12. Recoil of the gun is affected by the following, except. Okay? So again, in order to answer this question, you must know what recoil is. Okay? So recoil is the rearward. Sometimes they call it backward movement of the gun, okay, against the forward movement of the bullet. So, yon ang tinatawag nating recoil. Sa Tagalog, ang term natin dyan madalas ay yung sipa pabalik ng firearm when it is fired. Okay? So, ano daw yung mga pwedeng makaapekto sa lakas ng recoil? And which one is an exception among the choices? Letter A, tightness the firearm is held. Letter B, the weight of the firearm. Letter C, the physical and mental condition of the shooter. Or letter D, there is none. Okay, so walang exception dyan. Okay, so the answer for number 12, is letter D, none. In short, all the choices or the given choices can affect the amount of recoil, okay, when firing a gun. So, depende ang lakas ng recoil sa higpit ng hawak mo sa firearm. Mas maluwag ang hawak mo sa firearm, mas malakas ang madadama mong recoil. Also, the weight of the firearm. Okay? So, also the weight of the firearm, mas mabigat ang firearm, mas malakas ang recoil. And the physical and mental condition of the firearm. Okay? Physical and mental condition of the shooter. So, kapag wala ka sa sarili, your mind is not focused on what you are doing when holding and firing a gun. Ang tendency niyan is mas mabigla ka sa recoil ng firearm. Okay? So, in order to reduce the amount of recoil, consider mo yung tatlo na yan. Hawakan mong mabuti yung firearm. Okay? So, gumamit ka ng mas magaan na firearm or i-focus mo yung iyong physical and mental state doon sa ginagawa. Okay? So, the answer for number 12 is therefore letter D. Next. Number 13. Number 13. Which of the following is considered as... Okay. So, I'm sorry. Nagkakaroon ako ng interruption. Means from time to time, medyo binabasa ko kasi yung mga chats. At any rate, si Michael Alvarez, do you have a question? You're raising your hand. Si Michael Alvarez would like to be recognized. He is raising. Okay. Sorry. Wala naman pala. Sige. Okay, we will continue. Which of the following is considered mechanical erosion of the bore? Okay, so what is the bore? Bore is the opening, okay, in the barrel where the bullet passes through. Yung pinaka-opening ng barrel, di ba ang barrel is a tube? Yung pinaka-opening niya kung saan nagta-travel yung bullet or nagpa-pass through yung bullet. Yun ang tinatawag nating bore. Okay? So, ano daw ang cause ng mechanical erosion of the bore? Among the choices, letter A, projectile passing through the bore. Letter B, heat from burning propellant. Letter C, pressure of powder gases and combustion. Letter D, chemical action of powder, gases, and combustion residue. Okay? So, take note, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng erosion? Pag erosion, ang ibig sabihin niya, numinipis yung mga rifling inside the barrel. So, bakit numinipis? Ano ang dahilan? Okay? Ng mechanical erosion. So, the answer here is letter alpha or letter A for number 13. Too many projectiles already passes through the bore. Okay? So, masyadong marami ng mga bullets ang dumaan doon sa bore ng barrel of the gun. Okay? And for that reason, nagkaroon ng tinatawag nating mechanical erosion. Okay? So, para magkaroon tayo ng clarity or ma-clarify class. Iba yung erosion sa corrosion. Okay? Pag sinabing corrosion, yun yung chemical na pamamaraan ng pagninipis ng rifling inside the barrel of the gun. So, it has something to do with the chemical action. Corrosion, ang cause niyan ay yung chemical reaction na nagpo-produce ng rust or kalawang. Okay? Hindi siya mechanical reaction. So, that's the difference between corrosion and erosion. So, ulitin natin, no? So, pag sinabi nating erosion, nagkaroon ng pagninipis sa rifling dahil masyado ng maraming bullets ang dumadaan inside the barrel. Pag sinabi din namang corrosion, ang ibig sabihin naman doon ay nagkaroon ng chemical reaction inside the barrel, nagkaroon ng kalawang, at yung kalawang ang naging reason kung bakit numipis yung mga rifling inside the barrel. Okay? So, be aware of that. Remember the difference between corrosion and erosion. Okay, next. Meron ding term na tinatawag na leading or fouling. It refers to the deposits of unburned residue in the bore of the gun. Yan. Karamihan yung leading or fouling kapag ang bullet mo ay tingga or lead. Okay? Hindi siya jacketed. So since na malambot yung metal na yon, so naiiwan yung mga residue niya sa mga pagitan ng mga riflings. Okay? At ang tawag doon ay leading or fouling. Okay? Kaya hindi advisable na gumamit ng lead bullet. Okay? Meaning yung mga hindi jacketed, because yun nga, madumi siya or nadudumihan niya yung inside ng barrel. Okay? Next. Number 14 and number 15. Number 14. What is the fatal equivalent of the bullet? Okay? So when we say fatal, ano yung pinaka-destructive factor ng bullet? Is it the velocity of the bullet? Is it yaw, energy, or the gyroscopic action? Okay? Number 15. The bore of the shotgun is constricted. Okay? The bore of the shotgun is constricted. What is that? A cylinder bore, a choke bore, a smooth bore, or a paradox bore. Okay? So number 15, yan ay isa sa mga previous board exam questions. Okay? So I hope you can answer it correctly. So number 14 and number 15, the answers are letter C and letter D. Okay. So letter C, energy. Energy is the one that dictates whether the bullet will be destructive or not, whether the bullet can inflict mortal wound or not. Okay? So ano ba yung energy? And where the energy is coming from? The energy of the bullet is coming from the gunpowder. Okay? So the powerful the gunpowder, the more gunpowder is loaded inside the barrel or the shell, the shell of the cartridge, the more the bullet will become deadly. Okay? So, kaya kapag mas mahahaba, mas malalaki ang shell ng cartridges or ammunition, tinitingnan natin na mas powerful yung mga ammunitions na yan. Okay? Do you know Magnum? Diba? Although ice cream din yung Magnum, pero sa firearm, pag sinabi nating magnum, ayan yung mga ammunition na ang prominenteng feature nila is mahaba lagi ang kanilang mga shells. Ibig sabihin, loaded with extra amount of gunpowder. Okay? So, yon ang basihan whether a bullet will be deadly, fatal, or not. So, energy that is coming from the gunpowder. Number 15, the bore of the shotgun is constricted. May sumagot dito na letter B. Yes, you're correct. Choke bore. Ibig sabihin ng constricted, sa bandang dulo near the muzzle of the gun, pinaliit yung opening. Okay? So, ang tawag doon ay choke. Madali naman tandaan kasi pinaliit tapos ang word ay choke, parang sinakal. Okay? So the purpose of that is para ma-concentrate yung dispersion ng mga pellets or ng mga shots upon discharge. Okay? So another interesting word in the choices or among the choices is yung paradox bore. So pag sinabi nating paradox, shotgun, commonly asked also in the licensure examination. This is a type of shotgun in which the barrel has riflings, okay, near the muzzle of the gun or near the muzzle. So meron siyang mga riflings doon malapit sa muzzle of the gun, okay, or the barrel. So remember, ang muzzle is the part where the bullet comes out. So, nandun yung mga riflings. So, normally, ang shotgun ay smooth bore. Yung smooth bore or cylinder bore, pareho lang yan. Okay? Ibig sabihin, wala siyang rifling. Pero merong mga kakaibang shotgun, katulad ng paradox na designed or made with riflings near the muzzle of the gun. That is called paradox bore. Next, so these are the important things that you need to know about shotgun. Kasi yan ang madalas din na mga area na kung saan kinukuha yung questions in the forensic ballistics. Okay? Andito naman pala yung explanation. The cylinder bore, it is the or refer to typical smooth bore barrel. The paradox, it has rifling, just like what I told you, few inches from the muzzle of the gun. Yung cape gun, this is an additional info. Double barrel, from which one is smooth bore and the other one has rifling. Okay. Let me also discuss additional notes when talking about shotgun. Yung type of shots. Mabilis lang naman to. Meron tatlong type of shots or mga pellets. Number 1, we have soft or drop shots. Ito ay kaya siya tinawag na soft or drop shots kasi they are easy to deform. Madali silang madaling maapektuhan yung shape nila kapag tumama sa mga target. Okay? Dahil ang mga pellets na to is made from or was made from lead or tingga. Okay? Number 2, chilled or hard shot. Ito naman yung mas harder or mas matigas kesa sa number 1. Okay? So it does not deform easily. Okay? And for the reason na hinaluan siya ng tinatawag nating antimony. Okay? So a certain metal na nagdagdag ng hardness doon sa pellet or shot. Number 3 is the hardest of them all, yung coated or plated shot. So pag sinabi nating coated, meron siyang covering na mas matibay na metal. Okay? This is also called dubaloy. And ang coating niya is made from copper. So it has the design offers greater strength and elasticity or great resistance to deformation and leading pattern. Okay, so because of that coating, hindi siya nadideform easily when or upon hitting the target. So these are the three types of shots. I think this is also important when talking about shotgun. Okay, so we'll continue on number 16 and number 17. Number 16, which of the following may be considered an unusual gunshot location in the head for suicide? Okay, so unusual for suicide. Gunshot location on temple, under the chin, mouth, or back of the head. Number 17, these examinations should be performed in order to determine the presence, location, and the path of the bullet in the victim's body. Okay? Anong examination? Is it paraffin test, firearm identification and microscopic exam, X-ray, or letter D, all shall be done. Okay? So linawin lang natin yung number 17. You want to know, again, you want to know the location of the bullet inside the body of the victim. So what test could be very much applicable? Okay, so the answers for 16 and 17, I hope you have yours at your paper, in your paper rather. So the answer is letter D, the back of the head. Wala nga naman magpapakamatay ka, pahihirapan mo pa yung sarili mo. Okay? By putting the gun or directing the gun at the back of your head. Kasi kapag back of the head, hindi yan normal for suicide. Okay? It is an execution style na pagpatay kapag binarel or ang gunshot wound is located at the back of the head. On number 17, yes, X-ray. Okay? X-ray. You want to know where the bullet is? Yan, X-ray. Imagine class. Imagine the days na hindi pa na iimbento yung hindi pa na-iimbento yung X-ray, no? Paano kapag nabaril ka, ano kayang gagawin para makita yung bullet or mahanap yung bullet inside your body at yun ay ma-extract. Okay? So, mahirap kasi yung bullet is nagiging wild inside the body because inuubos niya yung energy niya inside the body. Okay? So, hindi mo siya makikita in the same spot where the bullet wound is located. Kaya ang nangyayari nung araw, inihiwa ng marami sa iba't ibang part ng katawan yung tao just to look for the bullet. Okay? So, karamihan namamatay hindi sa bullet wound but namamatay during the search for the bullet. So, napakalaking tulong yung X-ray. Next, number 18 and number 19. Number 19 is an actual board exam question previously given. Okay, so I hope you answer it correctly. 18. Which of the following may be washed out from the gunshot wound? Okay, so meron tayong di ba? Wound ballistics. So alin dyan ang gunshot residue, gunshot wound na residue na pwedeng ma-wash out. Okay? Number 19. In 1845, rimfire cartridge was discovered in France. By whom? Or by this person? Okay? So, class, for a while, nalobat yung aking laptop. My goodness, naka-mute pala ako. Dami ko na nasabi. Sayang. Okay. So, sorry for that. Number 18, the answer is letter A, smudging. So, yung smudging, ayan yung, ang nag-cause niyan is the smoke coming from the firearm discharge. So, kapag hinugasan mo yung sugat, mawawala yan or pwedeng ma-wash out. Okay? So, that's the answer. Yung singeing, hindi yan mawawala kasi yan ay nasunog na flesh coming from the flame of the gun or firearm discharge. Yung tattooing, hindi rin siya basta-basta mawawala kasi ito yung mga partially unburned gunpowder embedded in the skin or in the pores of the skin. Yung cavity, lalong hindi mawawala yan kasi yan yung bullet hole on the skin. Okay? So, of course, in number 19, rimfire was discovered by Prof. Next. In the presentation, baka interested kayo sa iba pang mga personalities. Okay? So, since na ano naman to, final review. Okay? So, just remember the following people. Roger Bacon, okay, is the one that discovered gunpowder, and also Berthold Schwartz. And then Enville. Si Enville is the one who introduced smokeless powder, also in France. Minsan, ang tanong dyan kay Enville sa board examination is, smokeless powder was discovered by Enville, who is from what country? Okay, so sa France siya, or he's a Frenchman. Le Fauchox, the one that designed pinfire cartridge. Morse for center fire cartridge. And Calvin Goddard is the pioneer of forensic ballistics. Okay, and considered as the father of ballistics. So, those are some of the people in the history of forensic and firearm that you need to remember and their contributions. Number 20 and number 21. Considered to be the first true machine gun. Ano ba yung first true machine gun dyan? Is it the Gustav gun, Maxim gun, Gatling gun, or Paradox gun? So, sometimes, ma-identify, maski hindi ka familiar sa question, ma-identify mo yung tamang sagot kapag alam mo yung mga choices. Okay? Kapag familiar ka sa mga choices at doon ka sa isa hindi familiar, most likely that is the answer. Okay? So, para makasigurado ka sa mga sagot mo, there are two ways. Number one, you need to be familiar with the question. And number two, you need to be familiar also with the choices. Okay? So kapag pumunta na kayo sa level ng preparation nyo na even the choices ay kaya nyong i-explain or kaya nyong bigyan ng justification or familiar kayo sa mga choices, medyo you can say that you're very ready for to take the exam. Anyway, let's continue. Number 21, the part of the firearm that controls the path of the bullet. Ano daw yung, among the choices, ano daw dyan ang nagpo-control ng direction ng travel or path ng bullet? Is it the chamber, the frame, the cylinder, or the barrel? So the answers for these two questions, 20 and 21, are letter B and letter D. Letter B is the first true machine gun, yung tinatawag nating Maxim gun. It is recoil operated. Pag sinabi nating recoil operated, it has a mechanism for automatic cocking. Okay? So, mag-isa lang siyang naglo-load or automatic din siyang kung nagkakasa. So, The rest of the gun are katulad nung Gatling gun. Yung unang version ng Gatling gun is manually operated. Okay, so it cannot be considered as true machine gun. Number 21. The part of the firearm that controls the path of the bullet, definitely, that is the barrel. Okay? Kung saan mo i-point yung barrel, that is where the bullet will go. As simple as that. Next set of questions. Number 22 and number 23. A cartridge shell with grooves near its base and straight was fired from what? Okay? So to answer this question correctly, you must picture in your mind the cartridge that is being described in the question. Ano daw ang description? May grooves near the base at straight ang shape ng shell. So, is it fired from pistol, rifle, revolver, or shotgun? Okay? Number 23. The word bullet originates from the French word what? Cartouche, charta, bullet, or balya. Okay? So, ito yung mga trivial questions. Merong mga ganyan, mga ilan-ilan, but sayang din, di ba? Sayang din. It is an additional points. So, the answers are letter A, pistol. So, it was fired from pistol. Hindi rifle. Bakit hindi rifle? Anong itsura ng shell ejected from a rifle? Yung shell ng rifle is always what? Bottleneck shape. Okay? So, parang shape ng meron siyang neck and meron siyang shoulder na parts. Bottleneck. Yung revolver naman, wala naman siyang grooves. Okay? And shotgun has a very different what you call this? Cartridge. Okay? Kasi yung shell niya is made from plastic. Kaya the answer is letter A, pistol. And number 23 is it's letter C, bullet. Number 24 and number 25. The bullet ideal against target that rapidly burns, such as aircraft. Okay? So if you want to shoot down an aircraft, what bullet would be best for that? Is it tracer bullet, armor piercing, fragmentation, or incendiary? Number 25. What is the part of the cartridge that protects propellant from external factors? Again, what is the part of the cartridge that protects propellant from external factors? So, baka hindi kayo ganong familiar with the word propellant. Pag sinabi nating propellant class, we are referring to gunpowder. Okay? So gunpowder, propellant, they are synonymous or they're just the same. So ano raw part ng cartridge ang nagpo-protect ng gunpowder? Okay? The answers are letter D, incendiary. So incendiary, kaya siya tinawag na incendiary bullet because it can set a target in flame. Okay? So kapag tumama siya sa target, nagpo-produce siya ng friction, nagpo-produce siya ng spark, and that would be enough to set something on fire. Okay? Lalo na yung mga eroplano class, highly flammable yung kanilang mga gasoline. Okay? And number 25, what's the part of the cartridge that protects propellant from external factors? The answer is the casing. Yung pinaka-body of the shell. Okay? So, kasi yan? Waterproof and therefore protected from external factors yung gunpowder. Next. So, what about the other choices, no? Yung tracer bullet, ano pa ba iba? Let's go back to that slide. Ayan. Yung tracer bullet, if some of you already forget, ayan yung mga bullets that, what do you call this, that lights the trajectory. Okay? So, umiilaw yung kanyang direction or iniilawan niya yung path of the bullet. Okay? So, makikita mo where the bullet where the bullet was shot, okay? Or yung direction niya. Armor piercing, this is used for armored vehicles. Okay? Fragmentation, ito naman yung upon impact, nagdi-dismember siya. Pag sinabing nagdi-dismember, na sisira siya into pieces. Okay? So, fragmentation. Next. Number 26. Modern ammunitions are more powerful than its older version since it uses what? So here, it simply asks why the modern ammunition is more powerful than the old ammunitions. Is it because of letter A, larger caliber of bullets? Letter B, different propellants or gunpowder? Letter C, longer barrels? Or letter D, different firearm mechanism? Okay, so the answer is letter B, different propellant. Okay, so the ammunitions of today are more powerful, more destructive because the gunpowder today is more powerful. Okay, so compared to the black powder, yung smokeless powder is mas malakas ang energy na kanyang gine-generate. Okay, next. Number 27 and number 28. In establishing the distance of the shooter to the target, what should be critically determined first? You want to know the distance of the shooter from the target. So, saan ka magsisimula? From the bullet's entrance hole, from the bullet's caliber, bullet's exit hole, or bullet's trajectory. Number 28, when bullet fracture a glass, okay, this is considered the primary break. Again, this is considered as a primary break. So you must be familiar with this, no? Kasi this is commonly asked in the licensure examination. So yung tawag sa mga break na makikita sa glass when bullet enters into it. Okay? So the answers are letter A, bullet entrance hole. So you need to look for the bullet entrance hole first. And from there, pwede mo nang ma-determine yung trajectory, okay? And I measure the distance, possible distance of the shooter. So it all starts with locating the bullet's entrance hole. Number 28. It is called radial break. Okay? So radial break. Kapag tumama yung bullet on the glass at nagkaroon ng break, ang unang break or crack na mapoproduce niya is yung tinatawag na radial break. Ito yung outward na break along the glass surface. Okay? So I will try to draw it. Nakikita niyo yung yung whiteboard. Can someone respond? So, yes, thank you. Ayan. So kapag class, kapag yung bullet nag-enter on the glass, so magke-create siya ng cavity. That's the very opening or hole na created on the surface of the glass. At ang una niyang mapuproduce is yung radial break. Okay? So yung radial break is yung outward na crack or palabas na crack. Okay? Due to the bullet's entrance on the glass surface. And then this will be followed by concentric break. So pag sinabing concentric, so magko-connect yung mga radial break to each other. So therefore, yung concentric break is the secondary breaks. Next. So another information or notes for glass. Glass are supercooled liquid. This is the definition, which possess high viscosity and rigidity. So it is important because there are questions that ask for the meaning of a glass. Silica is the most important constituent of glass. So please remember that also. Number 29 and number 30. Okay, so this ensures that ballistic evidence found at the crime scene can be identified as the same evidence to be examined in the laboratory. So proper collection of evidence, proper recognition of evidence, proper preservation of evidence, or proper marking of evidence. So alin daw dyan ang pwedeng mag-ensure na na-preserve yung condition ng evidence. Number 30. A bullet to be collected was found disfigured or deformed where it should be marked. Kung ang bullet ay disfigured or deformed, saang part ng bullet dapat ilagay yung marking? Okay? So the answers are letter C, proper preservation of evidence. And number 30 is also letter C. You can put the marking at the base, okay, at the base of the bullet. So, saan ba dapat ilagay yung mga markings kapag magko-collect ka ng evidence na bullet? Dalawa, di ba? You can put the markings on the ogive and also at the base. Kapag deform ang bullet, impossible mo nang malagay yung marking mo doon sa ogive. So that leaves one option. Okay? Yung base, doon ka na lang maglalagay ng iyong markings. Next. Number 31 and number 32. When marking a firearm at the shooting scene, these are the three main parts of the gun that should be marked. Except, okay, alin dito ang main parts ng firearm na hindi priority pagdating sa markings. Okay? Number 32. When providing tag to a firearm, all shall be written, but which detail about the firearm should be considered the most important. Okay? So, paglalagyan mo ng tag yung firearm, lalagyan mo siya ng mga information, aling information na ilalagay mo about the firearm as evidence ang pinaka-importante. Is it the type of firearm? Is it the caliber, the make or model, or the serial number? So, I hope that you have your answers now. The answers are letter B and letter D. Okay? Bravo and Delta. Number 31 is letter B, magazine. So, hindi mo gaanong priority na lagyan ng marking yung magazine. Number, for the reason that magazine can easily be replaced. Magazine can be detached from the gun easily. Okay? So, ang mga importante is yung barrel, the frame, and the receiver. Okay? Sa tag, for number 32, ang pinaka-importanting information is the serial number of the firearm. Okay? Because the serial number knowing the serial number of the firearm, you can verify many information about the gun and also about the owner of the gun. Okay? Next. Number 33 and number 34. If the issue surrounding the firearm is whether or not its serial number was tampered, this equipment will be highly useful. Okay, so anong equipment ang best na pwedeng gamitin para sa pag-examine ng possible tampered na serial number? Is it comparison microscope, shadow graph, stereoscopic microscope, or CP6 comparison projector? Number 34. It is described as a long, hollow probe equipped with a lamp and magnifying apparatus in its tail end used to fit inside the barrel for examination. Okay? So, ito raw yung instrument that can allow you to see what is inside the barrel. Is it micrometer, helixometer, taper gauge, or torsion balance? So, yung mga sets of questions natin now are referring to equipment or laboratory tools na ginagamit ng ballistician. Okay? So for number 33 and 34, I hope you have your answers now. Answers, or the correct one, are letter C, stereoscopic microscope. Okay? Used for what? Examination of tampered serial numbers of firearm. And number 34 is letter B. We call that as helixometer. So for other equipment and tools, so you can add this on your notes. So yung micrometer, this is used for caliber bullet, measurement of caliber bullet. Taper gauge, this is used for measuring the barrel of the barrel's caliber, or the caliber of the barrel, most especially sa shotgun. Helixometer, it is also, in addition, it is also used for measuring pitch of rifling. Okay? Ano ba yung pitch of rifling? The pitch of rifling is the distance, okay, kung saan yung bullet can perform a 360-degree turn or complete rotation. Okay, so if you want to measure that particular distance, you can also make use of helixometer. Torsion balance. Bullets caliber through weight equivalent. Minsan, yung bullet ay masyado ng deformed. So hindi mo na talaga ma-measure yung caliber na ginagamitan ng micrometer. So, i-base mo na lang yung caliber niya depende sa timbang. And for that, you can use torsion balance. Okay. So, next is number 35 and number 36. The following are considered as individual characteristics, except one. Okay? Alin dyan ang hindi individual characteristics? So take note class, kasama sa TOS or Table of Specification ang topic na characteristics of firearm. So in short, sa forensic ballistic, isa sa mga dapat nyong pagtuunan ng pansin ay yung topic about individual and class characteristics. And you must know kung ano-ano yon. Okay? So in number 35, Alin daw dyan ang hindi individual characteristics? Is it breech face marking, extractor marking, firing pin impression, or rifling? 36. You are a firearm examiner examining two specimens of fire cartridge cases using comparison microscope. What should be the focus of examination? Okay? So, in this question, tingnan nyo muna kung ano daw ang specimen na in-examine. Nakalagay dyan, cartridge cases. So, ano ang dapat na maging focus ng examination if the one that you are examining are cartridge cases? Okay? Is it extractor marks, breech face marks, ejector marks, or caliber? Answers are letter D, rifling. So rifling is the exception. Bakit hindi kasali yung rifling? Rifling is a class characteristic. Okay? Hindi siya considered as individual characteristics. And in number 36, the answer is letter B. So dapat ang maging focus of examination is the breech face marks. Okay? So next. Yung extractor mark and ejector mark, makikita din yan sa shell, pero mga ano na lang yan, mga secondary markings. Okay? Yung determination ng or yung identification of firearm, pag shell ang ine-examine, ang focus ay either firing pin impression or breech face marking. So, answers therefore is letter D. Next. Okay, so it is also important to include in the discussion yung stages in the manufacture of the barrel. Paano ba ginagawa yung barrel? So number 1, drilling. Yung solid metal, binubutasan on both ends. Number 2 is reaming. Yung reaming is ini-smoothen yung inside surface of the barrel. And number 3 is rifling. Okay? So, yung rifling is yung pag-uka ng mga rifling inside the barrel. So, there are 4 ways of doing that. We have hook or cutter system, scrape, broaching, and button. And the last stage is lap. Okay? So, yung lap, inaano ulit, ini-smoothen ulit yung surface or inside surface ng barrel of the gun. So, these are the stages in the manufacturing of a barrel. So, important din yan. Some questions in the board examination has something to do with this topic. Next. Number 37 and number 38 are both board examination questions previously given. So I hope you can answer them correctly. 37. What is the helical groove pattern in the internal surface of the barrel responsible for imparting a spinning motion to ensure accuracy of projectile during flight? Okay. So next, number 38. The metal cup containing highly sensitive priming mixture of chemical compound, which when hit or crushed by the firing pin will facilitate ignition. Okay? So, is it silver halide, anvil, primer packet, or primer? Ano daw yung metal cup na kapag pinalo ng firing pin, nagpa-facilitate ng ignition ng ammunition or cartridge inside the firearm. Okay? The answers, yes, the answer is letter D, rifling. Obvious naman, di ba? Tinatanong kung ano daw ang nagbibigay ng spinning motion sa bullet. Ang sagot dyan ay rifling. Number 38, the part being referred is letter D, primer. So ayun yung center of that can be found at the very center of the base, kung saan doon pumapalo yung firing pin para mag-start ng tinatawag nating percussion action. Next. Number 39. A firearm that allows the user to either manually cock the hammer or simply pull the trigger and release the hammer of its own. Okay? So, what do you call that kind of firearm? You must picture in your mind yung kanyang operation. Manually cock the hammer or simply pull the trigger. Is it single action, pump action, double action, or bolt action? The answer for number 39 is letter C. This is called double action. So ano ba yung double action? Yes, you're correct. Okay? Ano ba yung double action? Yung double action is kapag kinalabit mo yung trigger, automatically nag-ooperate yung hammer. Okay? So, in comparison with single action, paano naman ba yung single action? Yung single action class, kapag kinalabit mo yung trigger, walang mangyayari kasi kailangan mong manually na i-pull back yung hammer before you can press the trigger. Okay? So, that's the main difference between single and double action firearm. Number 40 and number 41 refers to the quickness that a burning gunpowder transforms into gas. Okay? So remember, yung pagkasunog ng gunpowder, okay, eventually, magre-release siya or matatransform siya into a pressurized gas. At yung pressurized gas na yon ang magsuserve as the energy para itapon yung bullet papunta sa target. So, what do you call that process of burning or transforming burning gunpowder into gas? Rate of fire, percussion rate, combustion rate, or burning rate. Number 41. The disruption of the bullet into many pieces caused by the force of impact. Okay? So ano daw tawag doon sa paghiwa-hiwalay ng maliliit na parte ng bullet upon impact to the target? Fragmentation, explosion, detonation, or collision. So I hope that you have your answers already. Letter D, we call that as burning rate. Okay? So pag sinabi nating burning rate, it has something to do with the time kung gaano kabilis natatransform yung burning powder into pressurized gas. Okay? For number 41, ang tawag naman natin doon ay fragmentation. Okay? Kung saan upon impact, the bullets are dismembered into small pieces. Next. Number 42 refers to the bullet's capability to deliver a very heavy paralyzing blow. Okay? What do you call that capability? Firepower, shocking power, knocking power, or destructive power. Okay? So, the destructive blow of the bullet, ang term na ginagamit natin dyan is letter C, or what we call as knocking power. Next. Number 43, another board exam question. The microscopic contours found at the surface of the fired bullet used by the examiners as basis of comparison and identification. So, what do you call that? Landmarks, striations, impression, or rifling marks? Okay? So, the correct answer here is letter B, striation. Okay? So, yung striations class, ayan yung makikita nyong microscopic scratches. Excuse me. Yan yung makikita nyong microscopic scratches sa mga rifling. The word microscopic suggests na makikita nyo lang siya when you view it under or using microscope. Okay? At yun ang nagiging basihan class para i-match yung suspected firearm or test bullet doon sa bullet that was recovered at the crime scene. Okay? So, very important. Remember it. Next. Number 44 and number 45. Refers to the amount of gunpowder loaded to the ammunition. Okay? Is it energy charge, loaded charge, power charge, or powder charge? Number 45. The bullet's capability in hitting the target. Ano daw ba yung bullet's capacity rather in hitting the target? Muzzle blast, muzzle brake, muzzle energy, or muzzle velocity. Okay? So let's answer now. Number 44 and 45. The answer is letter D. We call it as powder charge. Okay? So the powder charge refers to the amount of gunpowder loaded in the cartridge or ammunition. On the other hand, yung capacity in hitting the target is referring to muzzle energy. Ano ba yung muzzle blast? The muzzle blast is the noise created by the discharge of the firearm. Yung muzzle brake naman, iba yan. Okay? Yan ay design ng barrel of the gun kung saan nire-reduce niya yung recoil. Okay? That is what we call muzzle brake. Then, muzzle velocity is definitely referring to speed of the bullet. Okay? Upon leaving the gun. So, next. Number 46 and number 47. A bullet designed with a sharp bore diameter, shoulder, that enhance its cutting action without requiring expansion. Okay? Number 47. Upon checking the bore of the barrel, the examiner see spiral rifling going in a clockwise direction. This means it has right twist rifling. Letter B, right pitch of rifling. Letter C, left twist of rifling. Letter D, left pitch of rifling. Okay? So, that is for number 47. Yung barrel, yung rifling niya raw, ang twist ay clockwise. So, ano daw yon? The answers for these items are letter D. We call it as semi-wad cutter. Okay? So, yung semi-wad cutter class, yan ay actually designed para sa target paper because it cuts perfectly on the target. Okay? So, and number 47, an answer is letter A, right twist rifling. Kapag ang direction ng twist ng rifling is clockwise, that is right twist. And of course, the opposite is that kapag counterclockwise naman, ang direction ng twist of rifling, that is left twist rifling. Okay? So remember that. Number 48 and number 49. The hole in the bottom of the primer packet through which the primer flash imparts ignition to the propellant. Okay? So, ano daw yung hole na nag-i-impart ng ignition or nag-i-ignite ng gunpowder? Is it the primer packet, the anvil, the sensitive material or priming mixture, or the vent or flash hole? Number 49. What part of the shell that prevent the bullet from being pushed out? Okay? Cannelure, crimp, neck, or shoulder. So the answers to these questions are letter D, that is vent or flash hole. So yung vent or flash hole class, ito yung passageway kung saan dumadaan yung flame para i-ignite yung gunpowder. Okay? So number 49 naman, the answer is letter B, crimp. Okay? So ito yung part ng shell that prevents the bullet from being pushed out para hindi mo mabunot yung bullet manually, okay, from the case or from the shell. So again, the answer is letter B, crimp. So pakitandaan yung mga wordings na prevents the bullet from being pushed out. Okay, so the answer is crimp. Kasi may ibang answer kapag ang nakalagay dyan is to prevent the bullet from being pushed down. Okay, so later on we will discuss that. Ito pala yon, cannelure. Cannelure is for the bullet not to be pushed down the shell. Yan. Yes, you're correct. Cannelure. So be be careful when reading the questions kung ang tinatanong ba ay prevent it from being pushed out or prevent it from being pushed down. Okay? So you must remember, class, na mahaba ang oras ng examination. There is only 100 items, so you can spend so many time para i-absorb, intindihin yung every word that appears in the question. Okay? Next, rim. Rim is the part of the shell that prevents it from going inside the chamber. Okay? So take note of these definitions of terms. Number 50 and number 51. Ito, the study of the motion of the projectile. Is it forensic ballistics, firearm identification, or ballistics? Number 51. The following are the terms from which the word ballistic was derived from, except alin dito ang hindi pinanggalingan ng word na ballistic? Balo, balista, balyen, or poro? Okay? The answers to these questions are letter C, ballistic. Okay? Because just like what I told you from the beginning, when we say ballistic, it simply refers to the study of the motion of projectile. Okay? Pero kapag nabasa nyo na yung science of firearm identification, that becomes forensic ballistics. Okay? Next. Yes. The following are the terms from which the word ballistic was derived, except forum. Kasi ang forum, ito ang pinanggalingan ng present word na forensic. Okay? So this is, yes, it refers to a marketplace where the word forensic was derived from. Okay? So thank you sa mga nagre-react or comment during the discussion. It makes me realize that you are participating. So on my watch, it is already 10:30 or past 10:30. I told you that we will have a short break for that. Let's catch our breath. Okay? Pero before we have our 15-minute break, ayan, tignan nyo muna, naka 51 items na tayo. Ilan na ba ang mga nakuha nyong correct answers from these 50 items? Okay? Kung marami kayong mali, nako, kailangan nyong sigurong mag-catch up. Okay? Kasi most of the questions are still can be considered as simple. Okay? Simple. So kung marami naman kayong tamang sagot, that's good for you. That's good for you. Ibig sabihin, maganda ang nagiging preparations nyo for this subject. Okay? So, class, 15-minute break. After that, we'll continue. Okay, so let's have our break. We'll be back after 15 minutes. Okay, so the 15-minute break is over. Means that we need to resume our lecture or our review. So we are now on number 52 and 53. We are still under forensic ballistics. So number 52 refers to the unstable rotating motion of the bullet. Okay, choices are yaw, ricochet, gyroscopic action, or tumbling. Next is number 53, refers to the nose end rotation of the bullet while in flight. Choices are yaw, ricochet, gyroscopic action, or tumbling. Okay, so for number 52 and 53, what's your answer? The correct one are letter A, yaw. So the unstable rotary motion of the bullet is called yaw. So nagkakaroon ng unstable rotation kapag masyadong malayo na yung tinatravel ng bullet without hitting anything and the bullet start to lose energy. Okay? And number 53, it's called tumbling. Yung tumbling na rotation ng bullet is described as nose end. Hindi na spinning. Okay? So, kung paano umikot yung hélice ng electric fan, ganun na yung ikot ng bullet. Okay? So, ang tawag natin dyan ay tumbling motion. And kapag tumama yung bullet sa target ng tumbling motion, nagke-create siya ng tinatawag nating keyhole shot. Ano yung keyhole shot? It is an oblong shape na bullet hole. Normally, ang shape ng bullet hole is a perfect circle. Okay? Kasi ang tumatama na una sa surface ng target is the nose. Pero kapag ang tumama na bullet ay sideways or pahalang, so nagki-create siya ng vertical na oblong shape na bullet hole. Ang tawag natin doon ay keyhole shot. Okay? So tumama siya sa surface ng pahalang or sideways because ang rotation ng bullet is in tumbling motion. Next. Number 54 and number 55. What is the forward motion of the bullet? Is it direct? Letter A. Letter B, translational. Letter C, rotation. Or letter D, ricochet. And number 55, the branch of ballistics for percussion occurs. Okay? Internal, terminal, external, or forensic. So, saang branch ng ballistic nangyayari yung tinatawag na percussion? Okay? The answers to these are letter A, that is a direct motion, the forward motion of the bullet papunta sa target. Yung translational, what is that? Yung translational is ano ang percussion, sir? Yung percussion is the, what do you call this? Percussion is the ignition of the priming mixture without need of actually lighting the sensitive chemical. Okay? So, ganito yung percussion. Na-activate yung sensitive chemical ng force rather than by burning them. Okay? Halimbawa, yung nakalagay na priming mixture sa excuse me. Yung nakalagay na priming mixture sa what do you call this? Doon sa primer. Nung araw, kailangan mong sindihan yon para ma-ignite mo. Okay? So ngayon, sa ngayong setup, sa ngayong design, yung priming mixture na yung priming powder na nakalagay doon sa primer is hindi mo na kailangan sindihan, kundi kailangan mo na lang siyang i-subject to shock. Okay? Kung saan, kapag pinalo siya ng firing pin, nakakrush yung priming mixture at nagpo-produce siya ng flame. Ang tawag sa process na yon ay what? Percussion action. Okay? Kung saan yung priming mixture nakakrush siya and a flame can be produced out of that. Okay? So hindi mo na kailangan pang literal na magsindi. So going back to number 54, pag sinabi nating translational, it is the changes of direction of the bullet. Okay? So ano ba yung mga causes na pwedeng magpaiba ng direksyon ng bullet? Number one, it could be ricochet. Okay? So failure to failure to penetrate the target. Tumama yung bullet sa matigas na object at nag-bounce back. That is what we call ricochet. Okay, so nagkaroon ng changes in the direction of the bullet path. So that is translational. Pwede rin natin ma-consider na translational kapag unti-unting nababago yung direction of the bullet when it travels a very long distance without hitting anything and the gravity starts to pull it down. Okay, so that is translational. Changes of the bullet's direction or movement. Of course, everybody knows what is rotary motion. Ito yung pinaka-prominenteng movement ng bullet, yung kanyang spinning motion because of the riflings, okay, that can be found inside the barrel. So the branch of ballistic where percussion occurs, definitely as I describe what percussion is, it happens inside the gun, and the branch that is concerned what happened inside the gun is internal ballistics. Okay, next. On the other hand, pag sinabi naman nating external ballistic, it deals with the motion, behavior of the bullet when it is in flight, okay, or just discharged from the firearm, or after being discharged from the firearm. Number 56 and number 57 refers to the equal opposite action of the gun to the forward movement of the bullet. Okay, so this one is very basic, no? Everybody knows this already. 57 is a board exam question. What is the hole drilled in the barrel of the firearm through which the bullet travels when it is fired? Diba? So, ano raw yung hole sa barrel where the bullet passes through? Answers are letter C. It's called recoil. Okay. I-define din natin yung ibang choices, no? Yung ricochet, you know that already. Bouncing back of bullet yan. Jump is the upward movement of the gun. Okay. Yung pa-upward na movement of the gun, parte rin siya ng recoil. Okay? Yung kung ang recoil ay pabalik na movement ng firearm, yung pinakanguso ng firearm na umaangat, ang tawag natin doon ay jump. So, next, number 57, the hole drilled in the barrel is definitely the bore. Okay? So, take note yung barrel, meron siyang iba't ibang part. Yung part na nilalabasan ng bullet, that is called the muzzle. Okay? Yung dulong part ng kung saan ini-insert yung ammunition, ang tawag doon ay chamber. Okay? Yung pinaka-katawan niya, ang tawag naman ay barrel tube. Yung pinaka-opening niya, ang tawag ay bore. Yung pinaka-rifling or yung mga grooves na makikita inside are called riflings. Okay? So take note of those parts of the barrel. May question dito, no? Baka minsan nami-miss ko yung mga question nyo kasi nakatingin ako sa laptop. Ayun. Magkaiba po ba yung ricochet at saka recoil? Yes, magkaiba yon. Kasi ang ricochet, yun ay nangyayari sa bullet. Ang recoil, nangyayari yan sa firearm. Okay? Yung ricochet, sobrang tigas nung nung target hindi niya ma-penetrate. Kaya ano ba sa Tagalog doon? Bumalik or nag-bounce back yung bullet. That is ricochet. Okay? Yung recoil naman, that is the backward. O the deflect. That is the backward reaction of the gun. Okay? Whenever you fire it. So, against the forward motion of the bullet. So, we discussed this already. When we say jump, it is portion of the recoil action characterized as the upward or backward and upward movement of that takes place before the bullet leaves the muzzle. Okay? Ayan yung pag-angat ng nguso ng barel kapag pinuputok. We call it as jump. Number 58. The farthest distance that the bullet can travel upon discharge from the firearm. So what do you call that distance? Okay. Is it range? Letter B, maximum effective range. Letter C, maximum range. Or letter D, trajectory. Okay. Unang-una, marami ang lilito between range and trajectory. Pag sinabing range, it refers to distance. Gaano kalayo yung target from the gun when it was fired. That's range. Okay? Gaano kalayo yung target. Pag sinabi naman nating trajectory, ito mismo yung direction or path na tinravel ng bullet. So magkaiba yon. Yung actual na direction na tinravel ng bullet, that is trajectory. While yung distance naman is called range. Okay? So yung pinakamalayong distance, ang tawag natin dyan ay letter C, maximum range. What is maximum effective range? Or minsan tinatawag lang nila yan simply as effective range. The effective range, ito yung range na kung saan effective ang bullet coming from the firearm. Okay? What do we mean by effective? Effective in a way that it can cause damage or fatal or mortal injury to the target if the target is a human being. Okay? So, kalkulado. Pag sinabi kong kalkulado, alam ng mga gun manufacturer yung tinatawag na distance ng effective range ng bawat baril na ginagawa nila. Ibig sabihin, pag gumawa sila ng baril, nakukompute na nila kung hanggang saan yung effective range niya, ibig sabihin, yung pinaka-deadly yung bullet na lalabas from the firearm. Okay? That they made or manufactured. Meron ding tinatawag na accurate range. Pag sinabing accurate range, ito naman yung distance kung saan mayroong good shooting control yung shooter. So, mataas ang confidence niya that he can accurately, precisely, okay? Precisely shoot the target. So, yun ang mga ranges na dapat yung tandaan, okay? When it comes to this. First, you must know the difference between range and trajectory. Next, you must know the difference between effective range, maximum range, and the accurate range. Next. Anyway, ito naman pala. We already discussed this. Number 59 and number 60. Attributes of terminal ballistics that deals with the precision in hitting the intended target by the projectile. Okay? So, is it velocity, energy, accuracy, or penetration? Number 60. It is the ratio of the weight of the lead ball to a pound whose diameter is equal to the barrels of the bore. Okay? So, that is the definition of what? Letter A, caliber. Gauge, Letter C, bore diameter, or letter D, millimeter. Okay? So 59 and 60, the answers are, hope you got it right. Letter C, accuracy. Okay? And letter B, that is the definition of what we call gauge. Okay? Let us make a short explanation about this. Pag sinabing accuracy, paano ba natin ginajudge ang accuracy? Accordingly, when the bullet holes are closer to each other, the shooting is accurate. Okay? Kapag malalapit sa isa't isa, yung mga na-create na bullet holes on the target. Okay? Kasi naglaland siya on a controlled specific area. Contrary to that, kapag ang mga bullet holes naman ay mas malalayo sa isa't isa, less accurate or less ang precision when or in hitting the target. Okay? In number 60, I hope na na-clarify na sa inyo to. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng gauge? Pag sinabing ang shotgun ay 12 gauge, what does it actually mean? Okay? Does it mean na meron siyang 12 na shots or pellets inside? No. Ang gauge is actually the caliber of the barrel shotgun or the shotgun's barrel. Okay? That is what we call gauge. Yung sukat ng barrel ng kanyang yung sukat ng barrel ng shotgun. That is gauge. Gauge is a unit of measurement. Okay? Early unit of measurement, katulad din ng caliber. Next. Number 61 and number 62. So let's talk some of the historical events. The father of percussion ignition system of firearm. Okay? So, eto class, palaging favorite na tinatanong ito in the licensure examination. So, make sure that you know who is the father of percussion. Okay? Sa kanya nagsimula yung mga firearm na hindi mo na literal na kailangan sindihan yung mga gunpowder, but instead, it can be subjected to shock, then it can be ignited. 62. A firearm that operates like a rifle, but with less than 22-inch barrel. Okay? Number 62 is also commonly asked question in the licensure examination. Okay? Less than 22-inch barrel. So, number 61 and 62, yes, some of you answer it correctly. It's Alexander Jan Forsyth and it's carbine. Okay? Carbine. So, nothing more to explain about Alexander Jan Forsyth. In number 62, yan. Kapag ang barrel of the gun is more than 22 ang inches, ang measurement, that is called rifle. Okay? Pero, merong maliit na version ng rifle. Pareho ang ammunition na ginagamit, pareho ang operation, okay? Pareho ang itsura. Ang nagkaiba lang is yung haba ng barrel of the gun. Okay? Kapag 22-inch or less ang barrel of the gun, ibig sabihin that is a carbine type. Okay? So, next. If you want to know some important personalities in the firearm and firearm identification, here are some of them. Pero kung alam nyo na sila, you don't need to write this down. Okay? Kasi ano na lang naman to final coaching. So John Browning is the wizard of the modern firearm. Ganyan din siya tinatanong sa board exam. Who is the wizard? Major Uziel Gal, an Israeli army who designed the Uzi. George Hyde, the pioneer of submachine gun. Of course, si Mikhail Kalashnikov, the inventor of the AK-47, at yung si Eugene Stoner, yung counterpart naman or kalaban ng AK-47, which is M16. Henry Derringer, yung maliliit na mga firearm or what we call pocket pistols. Okay? And Samuel Colt patented the first practical revolver in which the cylinder will rotate when the hammer is stuck. Single action type of revolver. Next, number 63 and number 64. A firearm utilizing ammunition for handguns that can continuously discharge bullet as long as the trigger is pressed. Okay? Dun sa kanyang description in terms of the operation, what is among the choices ang best na nagpipit with that description? Is it shotgun, submachine gun, machine gun, or carbine? Okay? Next, a firearm that is designed with multiple chamber. Ako, napakasimple niyan. Pero, madalas tinatanong in the licensure examination. A firearm with multiple chamber, is it a pistol, shotgun, revolver, or rifle? Class, you must know what chamber is. Pag sinabing chamber, dito mo dire-ready, dito mo ini-insert yung cartridge, yung buong ammunition or cartridge bago paluin ng firing pin. Okay? So, ano daw sa mga choices ang merong multiple chambers? Okay? So, be careful ha. Again, be careful when reading a familiar question because the answer might not be the one that you think. The answer is letter B. It is called submachine gun. And letter C, revolver. Bakit hindi machine gun ang sagot sa number 63? Kasi if you will read the question, ang ammunition na ginagamit niya ay ginagamit for pistol or handguns. Okay? So, kapag ang ginagamit na ammunition ng firearm is yung same ammunition na ginagamit sa pistol, at kapag pinress mo yung trigger, tuloy-tuloy lang siyang nag-discharge ng bullets, ang tawag diyan ay submachine gun. Okay? What is the difference between machine gun and submachine gun? Yung machine gun, ito yung mas malalaking version. Okay? At ang kanyang ammunition ay, number 1, ang bullet ay pointed at ang shell ay bottleneck shape. Okay? So, hindi katulad nung dinidescribe at ginagamit ng mga pistol. Okay? So, therefore, the answer for number 63 is submachine gun. And also, for number 64, ang firearm na kung saan maraming chamber na pwedeng pag-insertan ng mga ammunition is called revolver. Next. 65 and 66 are two board examination questions. 65. This requires you to analyze. A magazine with a maximum capacity of 7 cartridges was the only evidence left at the shooting scene that resulted to the killing of 7 individuals. What firearm could be possibly used or involved? Okay? Meron daw 7 capacity or pwedeng 7 ammunition na i-load doon sa magazine. Is it a pistol, a submachine gun, shotgun, or a revolver? Number 66. The following are the advantages of cartridges, except alin dyan ang hindi advantage ng cartridge? Letter A. It speeded the loading of firearm. Letter B. Avoid spillage of gunpowder. Letter C. Soldiers carry with them bag of gunpowder. And letter D. Provide uniform charge for every shot. The answers, yes, most of you are correct. Letter A, it is pistol, obviously. Okay? So, to be exact, this is a Colt 45 na made pistol kung saan yung 1911 model na mga 45 caliber, ang capacity ng kanyang is 7. Okay? On the other hand, pagdating sa number 66, lahat yan except letter C. Kasi wala na ngayon yung mga soldiers na may dalang mga bag of gunpowder. Why? Because the gunpowder is already inside the ammunition. Hindi katulad nung unang panahon, separate na nilalagay mo yung bullet at saka yung gunpowder to the firearm or in the firearm. Okay? So, with the invention of unitary cartridge, ano may unitary cartridge? Unitary, ibig sabihin, magkakasama na sa isang cartridge yung bullet, yung shell, and the gunpowder. Okay? So, mas mabilis ang loading ng firearm. Hindi natatapon yung gunpowder. Okay? At saka, equal ang mga powder charge or yung mga load ng mga gunpowder in every ammunition. Okay, let's proceed to number 67 and number 68. 68 is a board exam question. Okay, what do you call a firearm in which the caliber is more than 1 inch? Again, more than 1 inch ang caliber. Is it small arm, cannons, artillery, or big guns? Okay, number 68. A firearm capable of firing more than 1 bullets because of the cartridges stored in its handle. Okay? So, ulitin natin, kailangan yung ma-analyze yung dinidescribe na firearm for number 68. Okay? So, the answers are, well, some of the participants answered it correctly, letter C and letter C. Meaning, artillery. So, kapag less than 1 inch, okay, ang caliber ng firearm, it is called small arms. Very good. It is called small arms. So, ano ang mga calibers ng small arm kung not more than 1 inch? Halos lahat. Ang pinakamataas ay 50 caliber. Kasi pag sinabing 50 caliber, it means 0.50 of an inch. Okay? So, wala pa siyang 1 inch. So, kapag nakakita ka ng 50 caliber, medyo malaki yung barrel, pero considered pa rin yan as small arm. Okay? Kapag lumagpas na ng 1 inch ang caliber ng firearm, hindi na ordinary yan. It is already categorized as artillery. Next, of course, ang dinidescribe sa number 68 kung saan ang magazine is located directly in the handle. Inside the handle of the gun is the pistol. Okay? Next. Number 69 and number 70. A firearm's mechanical construction that propels bullet and then reload for every press of the trigger. Okay? So, kapag kinalabit mo yung trigger, puputok, if you want to make another shot, you need to press again the trigger. You need to squeeze again the trigger. Okay? What is that? Is that a bolt action, semi-automatic, lever action, or automatic type? Number 70. It serves as the igniter of the cartridge. Okay? So pag sinabi nating igniter, the one that start the combustion of the gunpowder. So what part? The bullet, the gunpowder, the shell, or the pipe. Okay? So very good, no? Some of you are sharing their answers. The answers are letter B. It is called semi-automatic. So kapag pindot ka ng pindot ng or squeeze ka ng squeeze ng trigger kada shot, ang tawag diyan ay semi-automatic. Pistol are semi-automatic. Okay? Pero kapag isang long press of the trigger at continue nagpa-fire, that is automatic type. Okay? Number 70, the igniter of the cartridge is definitely the primer. Okay? It starts everything. Next. So, minsan may tinatanong din sa board examination yung mga composition ng cartridge case. So, here it is. Cartridge case is defined as the metallic or non-metallic container composed of 70% copper and 30% zinc. They are designed to unite the bullet and the gunpowder into one unit, otherwise known as shell or casing. Okay, so meron tayong tatlong tawag, no? Cartridge case can also be called shell or casing. So please remember the composition. Number 71. It serves as the propellant of the cartridge. Okay? Earlier, sinabi ko kung ano ang synonymous na word sa propellant. Okay? So correct. The answer is simply the gunpowder. Ang bullet, ang definition natin ng bullet is the metallic or non-metallic ball which is propelled from the gun or firearm. Okay? Kasi yan yung minsan na exact na definition na binibigay nila in the licensure examination. 72 to 73. What is the specific part of the bullet where the rifling marks is found? Okay? So you must know kung ano-ano ba yung part ng or parts ng bullet. So what part of the bullet where you can found the rifling marks? Is it the base of the bullet, the nose of the bullet, the bearing surface, or the ogive? Okay, 73. Refers to the curved part of the bullet extending from shoulder towards the nose. So what is the part of the bullet na pa-curve papunta sa pinaka-tip or papunta sa pinaka-nose niya? Okay, is it the shoulder, the ogive, the head height, or the net flat? So the answers to these questions are letter C and correct letter B. Okay? So letter C is the bearing surface. That is the part of the bullet kung saan makikita natin yung rifling marks. At saan yung part na yon? Makikita yon sa peripheral part of the bullet or the side part of the bullet. On number 73, that is what we call ogive. Okay? Yung paliit na shape ng bullet papunta sa tip or sa pinakataas niya. Ogive. Remember ogive class because this is also the place where you can put your marking whenever you recover bullet as evidence. Next. Number 74 and 75. A bullet that is covered by copper or nickel that prevents it to be dismembered. Okay? So anong tawag natin sa bullet na may covering? Is it jacketed, fragmentary, lead, or incendiary? Number 75. What is the specific part of the cartridge that locks the bullet to avoid unnecessary movement or prevent from pushing down the shell? Okay, so dinescribe natin to kanina or diniscuss natin kanina the difference between pulling out and pulling down. The answers are letter A, that is jacketed bullet, and for number 75, letter C, that is canelio. So, jacketed bullet normally fired from automatic weapons like pistol, while lead bullet are commonly fired from revolvers. Number 76 and number 77. It serves as the passageway or bridge between priming mixture and the propellant. Okay? So ano yung part ng shell na nagdudugtong sa primer at saka sa gunpowder kung saan dumadaan yung flame? Is it the vent or flash hole, the anvil, the primer cap, or all of these are correct? Number 77. A cartridge shell in which the diameter of the rim is equal with the diameter of the shell or the body of the shell is called what? So take note of the word equal. Okay? Rim, rimless, semi-rim, or rebated. Answers to these questions are, yes, you're correct. Letter A, it is vent or flash holes. So dito dumadaan, ito yung passageway ng flame para masindihan sa loob ng shell yung gunpowder. And for number 77, this is called rimless. Okay? Next. By the way, no, that although baka meron sa inyo nakalimot, pag sinabi nating rim, so mas larger yung rim niya kesa sa body of the shell. Okay, rebated, the rim is smaller compared to the body of the shell. Yung semi-rim, ang term na ginamit nila is that the rim is quite larger than the body of the shell. Okay? So let's move to the next set of questions. Number 78 and number 79. Which of the following is not a chemical component of a black powder? So alin dyan ang hindi component ng black powder? Potassium nitrate, sulfur, carbon, or nitrocellulose. Number 79. The sensitive material of the primer that ignites by percussion. Okay? So, ano yung sensitive material na kapag pinalo or na-hit ng firing pin ay nagpo-produce ng flame? Is it the priming cup, the priming mixture, the disc, or the anvil? The answer to these two questions are letter D, nitrocellulose, and letter B, what we call priming mixture. Okay? So, nitrocellulose class, this is a component. Again, this is a component of smokeless powder. And sa 79, the answer is the priming mixture. Okay? Ito yung sensitive chemical na powder na sensitive to shock. Next. For everyone's for everyone's use, here are the composition of the black powder at saka yung mga percentages niya. So we have saltpeter 75%, charcoal and sulfur 15 and 10%. For the smokeless powder, nitrocellulose, nitroglycerin, and the other components. Okay? So there are also kinds of explosive. We have low explosive, katulad ng mga propellants and gunpowder. At yung high explosive, katulad nung nilalagay sa primer at saka yung mga sumasabog. Number 80 and number 81. 81 is a board exam question. A type of primer which the anvil is attached to the shell of the cartridge case and equipped with two flash holes. Okay? So, equipped with two flash holes. And number 81. The transmission of an electrical signal from a logging unit, the logging cable to a blasting cap, and it happens when high explosive is ignited. Okay? So, ano ba ang nangyayari kapag nai-ignite ang high explosive. Deflagration, detonation, explosion, or fragmentation. So the answers here are letter D, Verdan. Okay? Kapag may dalawang flash holes, ang tawag natin dyan ay Verdan. Kapag isang flash hole ang meron sa shell, ang tawag naman natin dyan ay boxer. Okay? So please remember that. And for number 81, the answer class is letter B. We call it as detonation. Okay? So meron ditong mga nagsasabi na hindi nila nabasa, hindi nila nakita na 2 flash holes pala. So yun again, minsan you are very confident, you are very familiar with the question. So try to still read and finish reading the question before jumping into the familiar answer. Okay? So common na sakit yan. Na-excite ka masyado kasi familiar yung question sa'yo and you want to answer it outrightly, pero it will be very advisable na complete na basahin muna at intindihin if it really refers to the questions that you are familiar with. Okay? So deflagration. Deflagration, if combustion or burning process propagates outward of subsonic speed, slower than speed of sound. So deflagration ang tawag sa pag-ignite ng gunpowder, okay, inside the shell, deflagration. Pero kapag mga bomba na yan like TNT and C4, we call it as detonation. Okay, next. Number 82 and number 83. Which of the following is not a class characteristic? Okay? So, wag na wag yung kakalimutan i-review sa ballistic yung mga class at saka individual characteristics. Kasi yan ang pinanggagalingan madalas sa mga questions. So, in 82, which one is not a class characteristic? Piece of rifling, firing impression, caliber, number of lands and groups. Number 83. And also this one. Kailangan kabisaduhin nyo to. A firearm with 6 lands and groups, left twist, and the grooves are twice wider in width. Okay? So some of you knows the answer. Answers are letter B, firing pin impression, and letter C, Colt type. Okay? Bakit letter B ang sagot sa number 82? Take note, ang nakalagay not class characteristic. Ibig sabihin, lahat yan ay class? Mga class characteristics. Ways of rifling, caliber, number of lands and groups. Ang hindi ay firing pin impression because firing pin impression is individual characteristics. Okay? So, dito naman sa number 83, ito yung reference natin dyan. Wag niyong kakalimutan na i-memorize yung mga number of lands and grooves at saka direction of twist para sa stir type, 4 lands and grooves, and right twist. Carbine type, 4 lands and grooves, right twist, Smith and Wesson, Colt, Browning, Webley, and Winchester. So on and so forth. Okay? So, very common naman to sa reviewer ng forensic ballistics and they are easy to find. Okay? So, questions are always asked about this. Remember it. Number 84 and number 85. The firearm characteristics that are random in nature, that are caused by machine imperfection and wear or tear of firearm parts. Is it general characteristics, individual, class, or subclass characteristics? Number 85. The markings produced by contact between 2 moving surfaces of the firearm and bullet. Okay? So ano daw tawag sa markings na napoproduce kapag nagkaroon ng contact yung dalawang moving objects or parts ng bullet and firearm? Okay? Answers are the following. Letter B, okay? Individual characteristics, and as some of the participants also got the correct answer, striations, letter D. Okay? Yung striation marks, ito yung result ng friction. Friction between the bullet and the internal walls of the barrel of the gun. Okay? So, again, this is called striations. Next. Number 86. Another that you need to know and remember is the equivalent of caliber to millimeter. Which of the following is the equivalent of 45 caliber? Okay. The answer is letter B, around 11.43 millimeter. Okay. So, ang 12.7 millimeter, that is the equivalent of 50 caliber. You can take note of that. Ang letter C, 9 millimeter, is equivalent of 38 caliber. On the other hand, ang 5.56 millimeter is around 22 caliber. Okay, so yung conversion, equivalent ng caliber to millimeter, this is also very important. Number 87. What is the main area of examination among fired bullets for the purpose of firearm identification? Okay? So, gusto mong mag-identify ng firearm, ano ang need to examine? Is it the landmarks, the striations, the groove marks, or the skid marks? Okay? So, I believe the answers is very obvious. The answer is letter B, striations. Okay? Katulad ng sinasabi ko sa inyo, ang basihan ng pagko-compare is yung mga microscopic striation patterns. Okay? That can be found on the bullet. And please remember, class, ang striations ay makikita sa bullet at hindi siya makikita sa shells. Okay? So, we have here some of the markings that can be found on the bullet. We have landmarks and groove marks, yung tinatawag nating rifling marks. We also have skid marks. Andyan yung kanyang definition. Okay? Forward movement from chamber to the barrel of the gun before it initially rotates. Stripping marks. Okay? Kapag ang bullet ay pinutok sa loose fit barrel, pag sinabing loose fit, maluwag na barrel. Okay? So bakit lumuluwag yung barrel? Because of what we discussed earlier, corrosion and erosion. Number 5 is shaving marks. Okay? Pag sinabing shaving, merong merong slice na part na bullet. Okay? This is because of poor alignment ng cylinder and barrel of the revolver. And slippage mark, ito naman ang marking produced on or by oily or oversized barrel of the gun. Okay? Number 88 and 89. 89 is a board exam question. I hope you can confidently answer. 88. The main area of examination among fired shell for the purpose of firearm identification. So sa fired shell naman or sa shell, ano naman ang ine-examine primarily under microscope? Is it the extractor or ejector, the firing pin and breech face mark, chamber and pivot marks, or magazine lip marks or extractor marks? Number 89. the part of the firearm that pulls hard shell out of the chamber. Okay? Nako, palaging tinatanong yan at marami pa rin ang nakukonfuse as to the correct answer. The answers are letter B, firing pin and breech face marks. Okay? So, iklaro natin ha. Pag sa bullet, ang examination are the striations. Pag sa shell, ang ine-examine is the firing pin and breech face marks. Okay. Sa number 89 naman, the part of the firearm that pulls fired shell out of the chamber. So yung naglalabas ng shell after na i-fire siya from the chamber is called extractor. Okay? So, ano naman ng ejector? Yung ejector is the part of firearm that throws empty shell out of the gun. So, ito yung nagtatapon ng basyo palabas ng barel, hindi palabas ng chamber. Okay? Ang tawag naman natin doon ay ejector. Yes, out from the gun. So, next. Number 90. Alam naman natin yung sagot dyan. Kadi-discuss lang natin pala. The part that throws fired shell out of the firearm. Number 91. A fired bullet should be marked at any of the following except saan dapat hindi lagyan ng marking yung bullet. Okay? So, some of you all got the correct answer, ejector, and the bearing surface. Very good. Because the bearing surface is the part of the bullet where will be the object of microscopic examination. So, hindi siya dapat ma-disturb. Number 92 and 93. 92 is a board exam question. Fired shell should be marked at any of the following except, pagdating naman sa fired shell, ano ang dapat na lagyan ng marking? At the side of the body, the primer, near the mouth, or none of the above. Okay? So, saan, basahin maigi yung question ha, saan dapat hindi lagyan ng marking yung shell? Okay? So, number 93. An instrument considered as the backbone of the firearm identification. Therefore, pag sinabing backbone, it means the most important instrument in firearm identification. What is that? Shadow graph, comparison, microscope, bullet recovery box, and stereoscopic microscope. Ano kaya ang correct answers for 92, and 93? Answers are letter B, primer. Wag na wag kang maglalagay ng marking sa primer kasi andon ang area of microscopic examination. Doon makikita ang firing pin impression and breech face marking. So you can place your marking on letter A at the side of the body or letter C near the mouth of the shell. Number 93, ang pinaka-importante ay comparison microscope. Yun na naman. Okay? So mag-ingat sa pagbabasa. Minsan, hindi nyo nababasa, fired shell pala, you are thinking of a fired bullet. Diba? So, be careful. Sayang yung 1 point na simple ang question at madaling sagutin. Okay? So, mas ninanamnam nyo yung question, mas mataas ang chance that you will arrive in the correct answer. Okay? So, comparison microscope ang pinakamahalaga. Hindi mo matatawag yan na laboratory ng ballistician or firearm identification laboratory or forensic ballistic laboratory kung wala ang comparison microscope. 94. What is the part of the firearm that closes the rear part of the chamber? Okay? So kung titingnan nyo yung internal construction ng barrel, ano ang nagko-close ng chamber? Okay? The answer, many of you are correct. The answer is letter D, breech block, or what we call breech bolt. Or sometimes we can simply call it as breech. So breech face, the flat surface of the breech block that closes the rear of the chamber. Okay? Yung actual na part ng breech block na sumasara or nagsasara ng cartridge is called breech face. 95 is a board exam question. The markings on bullet considered as the most common reference used by investigator for comparison and identification purposes that is primarily caused by travel along the barrel. Okay? So kung titingnan nyo, no, iniiba lang yung phrasing ng question, pero it is still referring to the same question. Ano daw yung marking ng bullet na ginagamit ng reference ng mga investigador at para ginagamit na reference for identification purpose na nakukuha niya sa barrel of the gun. What is that? Friction, tool marks, impression, or pressure marks? Okay? The answer is letter A. That is friction marks. Okay? So, friction marks. We call that friction marks. Yung scratches na or striations na nakukuha ng bullet as it passes through the wall of the bore of the barrel. Okay? It is caused by what? Friction. Number 96. Aba, iba na palang subject itong number 96. So, we will jump to question document, another subject under criminalistics. And as I check my watch, it is already 12 noon. So, as I told you, we will have a 1-hour break to have our lunch and then resume at 1 p.m. Okay? So, and start question documents. So, pagdating sa ballistics, ano yung mga dapat na topic na huwag kakalimutang i-review? So, number 1, firearm characteristics. You must know the difference between individual and class characteristics, pati na yung mga markings na nai-impart sa bullet and shells. Very important. Okay? Number 2, yung mga categories, classification, types of firearm and ammunition. Okay? So, dapat alam nyong i-group yung firearm, alam nyong i-group yung mga bullets and shells or ammunitions. Okay? At huwag nyo rin kakalimutan, although pinaka-konti yun, yung part ng mga trivial. So pag mga trivial, mga questions about history, questions about people and their contributions. Okay? So we will proceed to question document after 1 hour. So let's have our noontime break. So we will resume at 1 p.m. Okay? So let's have a break.